The RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR Show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey, what's going on, good kind people? Here we are once again. Double whammy! Here's our second whammy. WWE Fastlane post-show dropping Sunday night on March 21st, 2021. What's up, y'all? Lee Sanders here, covering all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. So I want to hear from you guys. Was a rather lengthy pay-per-view. Was a rather lengthy day for the wrestling fan. That is, if you guys had checked out the NWA Back for the Attack pay-per-view event that had streamed on Fight TV earlier this afternoon. For those of you that missed out on the pay-per-view, you want to know if maybe that's something you should check out. I did do a pay-per-view post-show recap and review. Check that out when you get done checking out this episode. But right now we're talking all things WWE Fastlane. So this was WWE's first pay-per-view, first major pay-per-view event on the mighty NBC Universal's Peacock. So how did they do? Did they hit a home run? I'll pose that question to you all and answer that question as best as I can. But for those of you that saw the pay-per-view, how would you rate it? I want to know. Let your voices be heard, whether it's commenting or it's sounding off on our interactive poll. We got a poll up on Twitter at the RCWR Show, asking you guys, what did you think about the pay-per-view? So you could sound off that way. Or you could cast your vote over on YouTube, youtube.com/the RCWR Show. Click on the Communities tab, and you'll be able to see the same results, same polling options that you get on Twitter. Not same results, same polling options that you see on Twitter. Same ones you'll get on Twitter as well. I can tell you off the break, way it's looking on Twitter right now, we've got... It's a little bit all over the place here. Check this out. This is, again, the Twitter poll. We've got 6% of folks that's giving tonight's Fastlane a thumbs down. 12% are giving the pay-per-view a staying in the middle. 18% went with watched only for the Fiend. And I put in a little smiley face emoji that basically symbolizes... See, it's different because I was running out of text on Twitter versus YouTube. Basically, if you watch for the Fiend and I gave you a little smiley face, or if you're on YouTube, I said something like, watched only for the Fiend, and it delivered. So basically, you only watched for the Fiend and it didn't disappoint, is pretty much your option. So 18% went with the Fiend. 65% gave the pay-per-view a thumbs up. Now, I'm just curious because I created the YouTube poll not that long ago, but let me see if I can give you guys a little bit of a gauge as far as what's going on here. Let's see what's going on via YouTube here. And I'm letting you guys know we might have to circle back. Okay, it's kind of early. It's kind of early, but we already got some votes coming in on YouTube. We got a tie at 50% right now. 50% of you gave it a thumbs up. Meanwhile, 50% of you only watched for the Fiend. Not disappointed. So, hey, pick the polling results there. Go with the polling option that you feel best kind of represents you. We're streaming on multiple platforms tonight as we normally do, but we're streaming on Twitch. We're streaming on the Periscope, the Twitter. We've got the Facebook, we've got the YouTube. We're also streaming live via Spreaker as well. So just use keywords, the RCWR Show. That finish, I really hate to just bounce around all over the place like that, but that finish, man, just the way they end the freaking pay-per-view, I didn't like the finish whatsoever. The finish was just lazy as fuck. You spent all this time, you did all this hype, you did all this hula, and you just end the pay-per-view like that. It was just very, very lackluster. I personally feel. Now, some of you guys may say, okay, Lee, I hear you talking. I hear you saying that the ending was a bit lackluster. Okay, well, how should have maybe had gone down? Well, I tell you this, if you're going to do a pay-per-view, I mean, let's be honest. We had the pre-show that started at 6. That was about an hour long. Actual pay-per-view card itself did not begin until 7 p.m. So, you're pretty much essentially doing a 3-hour event. But if you want to get technical, like a 2-hour, 45-minute event, just about. If you're going to push it that far, I say, you know what? You're on the WWE, well, we did have a WWE network, but it's pretty much migrated to Peacock. Okay, so if you're going to be doing live events on Peacock, you got your pay-per-view provider still and all that, then I just say push it to the limit. Why not go a little bit further? Look, I didn't have a problem with Jey Uso coming out there and feeling as though his cousin Roman Reigns was getting a little bit too icy for his taste. He felt he had to interfere on his cousin's behalf and make sure that championship stayed with the family. Had to make sure he pleased his tribal chief. Oh, okay, I'm feeling all that. We get Edge taken out of the equation for a bit. Jey Uso going to town with the steel chair and all that. I'm down with that. I'm down with all that. No problem whatsoever. Doing the inadvertent kick to the face of Edge Daniel Bryan did, taking him out of the equation. Don't have a problem with any of that. Edge flipping the hell out and pretty much attacking both men with the steel chair. I mean, I love that touch where Daniel Bryan has on, what was that? I guess that was a label lock that he had on, yeah? But he had on that submission hold on Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns is trying his damnedest not to fucking tap out. I mean, he's just grasping for air. Literally, he's grasping for the ropes. There's no aid whatsoever. Heyman is freaking frozen. Heyman ain't doing nothing. I was expecting Heyman to run on over to the other side. No, Roman, reach for me, Roman, reach for. I was expecting Paul Heyman to do some shit at ringside and be overly animated, trying to feed the ropes to Roman and urge him on to come on. I felt that was severely missed. The fact that little attention to detail was lacking right there, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But we got Roman Reigns essentially fading, and just at the last second, he starts tapping the hell out. And you're going, oh shit, dude's tapping out. Okay, we need a referee. What's going on here? We need a referee to freaking call this. And bear in mind, we see Roman Reigns pass out shortly after he tapped out to that submission. But Edge comes in there with the steel chair. Whack, quack, all up on Daniel Bryan. All up on Roman Reigns. Curses the hell out of both of those guys. Rolls the hell out. You're going, okay, so this is pretty much how we're gonna kind of end things here. Okay. All right. It is what it is. Okay, cool. Get another referee coming on out there. You're going, okay, all right, so Edge made his presence felt. All right, well, surely this match is going to continue a couple of more minutes, right? It's going to continue a couple of more minutes. Maybe at this point, now that Edge is out of the equation, these two guys, they're going to continue to fight for maybe an additional, maybe an additional 10 minutes, give or take, right? Just so we can fully flush out all that craziness that went down with Edge. No, we don't even get that. I mean, pretty much, I'm trying to think how those final moments had went, because somehow Roman Reigns came out of there with the dub, and I was just left scratching my head going, how was that even remotely possible? Look, it was a great match for all it was worth. So don't take me as shitting on the entire match. I just had a problem with some key points for the matchup. Because both men, I mean, they went out there and they put a fucking clinic out there. I gotta give both men a lot of freaking props. But those final moments of that matchup just really left me scratching my head, because these guys were literally putting it all on the line, heart, body, soul. I mean, they're putting it all freaking out there. But anyway, new ref comes in there. You know, Reigns is starting to move around and everything. And if I remember it right, somehow Reigns ended up dragging himself over the corpse of Daniel Bryan. And that's pretty much how he was able to retain the title. So, like, you guys have to correct me if I'm wrong, but, like, I don't even recall Roman Reigns connecting with a Superman punch. I almost want to say Roman Reigns didn't even connect with a spear. It was just kind of like, God, that was just, it just rubbed me the wrong way. But now we get this the road to WrestleMania. It's official. It's going to be Roman Reigns defending the Universal title against Edge. It's like, wait a minute, pump the brakes. Are we really sure about that? Because we definitely had some controversy in there with regards to Edge. So essentially, Daniel Bryan can still lay claim to the fact of, wait a minute, there was some fuckery that was going on here. I definitely, with my performance at Fastlane, deserve to have a spot in WrestleMania. I see something coming about where maybe, just maybe, Daniel Bryan is going to have to go one-on-one with Edge on SmackDown with some high stakes on the line, where if Daniel Bryan defeats Edge, then he's going to be inserted into that match at Mania for the Universal Championship, as it'll become a three-way. He doesn't win, he's officially out, and it's just going to be a one-on-one match. I see something like that happening. Because remember what I had said on the predictions joint that we did. What was that? I think we did that we did that on Saturday. It's starting to become a little bit of a blur, but we did that on Saturday. Remember what I said to you guys? I had a really cool idea for Daniel Bryan being in a position at Mania where maybe he could take on Big E for the Intercontinental title. But given how things had played out tonight, I don't think at this point it's safe to say there's no way that match is going to happen between Big E and Daniel Bryan. They both seem respectfully locked up right now in their current story arcs with their respective opponents. So, but yeah, that just really kind of rubbed me the wrong way, just that whole finish. Otherwise, it was a really great match as far as I was concerned. It was a really great match. Didn't like that. Nasty little bitter taste in the mouth. We'll come back to that match. I'll see if I have a little bit more I can say with regards to that matchup. We had got our one and only pre-show matchup on the Fastlane card. By the way, before we get into that pre-show, I want to know from you all that signed up for Peacock on for WWE Network on Peacock. I want to know from you guys, how was your overall experience dealing with it? Because I know for a lot of you guys, if you were kind of like me, you didn't even play around with Peacock, see what other content they had to offer. You pretty much did, most likely like me, signed up so you can check out the WWE Network or the WWE content. And then pretty much day of the pay-per-view, you pretty much just go in, log in, you're trying to check out your WWE stuff. You don't care about anything else. If you kind of did that like me, you know, hey, don't feel bad, right? We literally are in the same boat. But I want to know how your viewing experience was, because there were a nice amount of people that were giving their observations about problems that they see with the WWE Network on Peacock so far. And I can definitely tell you, because look, I'm a tech buff, I'm a tech guru as it is. I can definitely tell you that my experience, I didn't enjoy it. You know, the one major downside that a lot of people seem to point out with Peacock is when you're watching a live event, in this case, when you're watching WWE content, there's no way for you to hit the rewind button. You know, there's no way you understand? Like, normally, before the network went to Peacock, if you were watching a live event, you used to be able to hit okay, let me go back 10 seconds, or let me go back 30 seconds, or let me just watch it from the beginning. No, when it comes to live events on Peacock, if you didn't catch it from the beginning, live, in real time, you're fucked. You pretty much just gotta wait until the encore presentation and pretty much go about it that way. So I found that to be very disappointing, especially if it's a case where, maybe your telephone rings, or maybe somebody's knocking at your door, and, you got to go hurry up, check that out real quick, try to go see what it is, then come on back. It's nice to have that feature where, oh, yeah, let me rewind just 10 seconds or 30 seconds and see what I had missed. That's gone now. Another major problem that I noticed with Peacock, again, share with me your experience. Let me know if you're experiencing the same thing or if it's something different. But another thing I noticed was that sadly, Peacock is not available on Samsung TVs. I mean, I just found that to be freaking mind-blowing. I know there was a couple of Roku customers that were also listeners and fans of the show. They said, yeah, Lee, not for nothing, but I can't even get Peacock on my Roku. I'm like, are you sure? They're like, yeah, I triple check. I can't get Peacock on my Roku. Like, okay, like, well, that sucks. But, which I find really, really like, because in 2021, like, it should be all over the place. But sadly, for Samsung TV users, there is no Peacock app in the App Store. So how are you supposed to watch Peacock on your Samsung TV? Well, depends. If you got an Android device, then all you got to do is just hit that down button. And you know how you get your little Wi-Fi signal, your little call icon, your sound icon, your Bluetooth icon. Well, remember, you got to just, you've already swiped down once. Now you got to swipe down again. And then that's when you see more options. You see portrait, Android mode, flashlight. And it's either going to be right there, or you're going to have to just swipe left. And there's going to be a smart view option. Assuming you've already, set up your TV link and all that good stuff. Once you hit smart view, you'll then be able to connect to your TV. And then once you connect to your TV, everything that's displaying on your phone is going to display on your Samsung TV. So that's the workaround right now. You can stream your WWE network on Peacock that way. However, which is what I did tonight. However, big caveat to that, you are going to be dealing with poor pixelation. I've got top-notch, high-quality internet in this house. I've got the ultimate internet package, the very best that's available right now that Verizon Fios has to offer. And let me tell you, with what I was watching tonight, I was watching 720p at minimum. I mean, it was coming in very pixelated. It was so bad, my eyes were kind of starting to hurt a little bit because it was so fuzzy what I was watching on a big screen. I said, fuck this. I actually pulled out my iPad and I had downloaded Peacock on it and logged in. And I was able to watch the pay-per-view in true top-notch quality. Almost in 4K quality. Almost. So I found myself doing that. Yeah, very, very weird. Now, here's the other thing. Now, some of you guys may say, well, Lee, what about just doing the mirror screen on the iOS to the TV? Yeah, well, guess what? I tried that. And you know what happens when you do that? You get a black screen on your TV and just sound. Now, I tested all my other apps when I was doing the mirror screening, and I didn't have any issue with anything else because normally, Mrs. will tell you, normally on Tuesday or Wednesday nights, I'm streaming the latest episode of Black Lightning on the CW app. I'm usually screen mirroring from my tablet, my iPad, to the TV, and we're pretty much watching it that way. So, like, no issues. But with Peacock on the iPad, and I'm trying to screen mirror to the TV, like I said, you get a black screen and you get sound. So hopefully, my whole point going on and on and on about this, hopefully with these technical problems that's going on right now for the WWE network, hopefully WWE and NBC, hopefully they work out those kinks in the coming weeks with some future updates. If you're noticing what I'm noticing, sound off, but you definitely want to make sure that you're being vocal about it on social media, write out tickets. If anything, leave reviews in the App Store, letting the developers know the problems that you're noticing. That's how you hurt them. There's nothing wrong with leaving them a 1-star or a 2-star rating, as long as you're backing up and validating why you're leaving the type of ratings that you're leaving. It gets their attention, and that's, they want to make sure that they have that nice and smooth and everything. Hopefully before we go into WrestleMania, they'll have all those kinks worked out. Pre-show, one and only matchup that we got on the card, Matt Riddle. Sadly, I did not watch this because I was still live on the air at the time, putting the ribbon around NWA's Back for the Attack. But Matt Riddle defeated Mustafa Ali to retain his United States Championship. I was really pulling for Ali, if you guys recall, on the Call That Match edition of Saturday's RCWR Show. I was calling for Ali to get the title. And also remember, I had said, look, I'm personally tired. Go back, listen to it. I told you guys I was personally tired of the whole retribution angle. I felt that it was a horse that was bludgeoned to death, that was chopped up, that was put in a blender, and then it was set on fire. I mean, they did everything the freaking retribution. Remember, I used the towel analogy, the mighty towel analogy. Go back and check it out. I told you guys, if I could have it my way, I would love for Retribution to just come to an end already at Fastlane, but I have felt that it was going to continue on into WrestleMania. Good to the last drop. That's how I felt. I was ecstatic to see what had happened post-match after Riddle retained his United States title. For those of you that missed it, sadly, maybe you were checking out NWA or spending time with family, who knows, whatever the case may be. After the match was over, Ali got in the face of Slapjack or Numb Nuts and T-Bar and Tigers and Bears. Oh my, he just got in the face of some of them guys, was talking hot trash. One of them had, I think it was Reckoning that was there. Reckoning got tired of hearing the bullshit. He got tired of the berating, and he just rolled out of the ring. T-Bar was left in there. The black dude with the dreads. I don't know what his name is. I'll call him Numbnuts. But, they were left in the ring. Ali's continuing to talk trash to them. They weren't feeling it. They pretty much put their hand around his neck, and they pretty much gave him a sky rise. A nice little elevator ride. They crashed his ass down big time, and they rolled out the ring. So it would appear that is it officially for Retribution. Mustafa Ali now out on his own. Cue up that Patti LaBelle, Michael McDonald song. On my own.
That's how it's supposed to be.
On my own. Anyway. Good. He put out a cryptic little tweet there on earlier tonight. I don't know if you guys had saw it, but it was an interesting tweet that he put out. And let me see if I can actually pull it up for you guys here. Let's go with people for a second. It kind of gave me Falcon and the Winter Soldier vibe too when I saw it. So he's got this tweet, and it says, "A new purpose, a new America." And all you see is the back of him with his, he's got black trunks on, and it looks like he's wearing the American flag, but it's almost kind of like the way he's got the colors reversed, the black and white colors reversed on his trunks and all that. It almost kind of looks like maybe he's in mourning for America or whatever. But you see him looking at the flag, and you're looking at that, you're going, a new purpose, a new America. What's What's going on with that? To be continued. Look, young man's got a lot of potential. He does, straight up. He's got a lot of potential. I've always sung the praises of him, always. My whole thing was he just needed to be involved in the right story arc. He just really needed to, have the right type of opponents and everything. And for what it was worth, just from the start, the whole retribution angle, and I think probably what was the biggest problem, simple analogy. Just imagine if MVP wasn't the one that pretty much was the focal point for the Hurt Business. Just imagine if that would have been, and it's no disrespect to him, I think the world of him. Just imagine if that was maybe Teddy Long. Or just imagine if that was maybe, think of a up and coming, kind of below average manager. Would it have had the same impact? Same guys and everything. You just swap out MVP for. I don't think so. It's almost kind of like sometimes when you come across a really cool countdown editorial piece and they tell you, hey, these were the top 10 movies that Tom Hanks or Leonardo DiCaprio had passed up on. Did you know that they could have had this role, but they shot it down? And you kind of recline back in your seat a little bit and you go, how would it have been had they have taken up that role? Now that I think about it, yeah, that would have made a lot of sense. And then you go, would it have been the same execution? I mean, a good example of that, before Clint Eastwood became infamous with Dirty Harry, originally the people that had put Dirty Harry together and everything, originally they wanted for John Wayne to be Dirty Harry. But the higher ups, Hollywood executives, they were like, well, not for nothing, but he's a little bit too old, for one. Two, he's been kind of having some health problems. Are we even really sure that he would be able to, because we might be able to do like a trilogy here. So is he even going to be alive for us to do the whole trilogy thing? And then three, well, we know John Wayne cares a great deal about his image. Are we really sure that he's even gonna, look at this script and wants to even be a part of this? So John Wayne was among the first to be given the script for Dirty Harry. And John Wayne was totally freaking against it. I mean, he shot that mofo down. Like, no, don't say yeah. I mean, he really shot that down. And then, of course, after he sees the success that movie had, he decided, okay, well, I kind of need my own Dirty Harry. There's got to be a way for me to kind of capitalize off of that. He had 2 failed attempts, if you guys recall, that are, if you're big John Wayne fans like me, he tried it with Brennigan. And that pretty much was a flop. Nice little underrated gem. If you're a hardcore John Wayne fan, you can tolerate it, but most people, you have an acquired taste for it, but it flopped. And then McHugh was another one that was McHugh was screaming Dirty Harry, cheap imitation of Dirty Harry. So you get the point that I'm making with regards to Mustafa Ali. It's like, okay, well, let's take Mustafa Ali out as the leader of Retribution. And let's just say, and I've said this off and on for months, what if you had put in Muhammad Hassan? What if you put in Sean Davari? It actually, quality-wise, it actually probably would have been very infectious on all those, because not for nothing, but let's not forget all of those people that made up Retribution, very talented performers in their own right, talented athletes in their own right. We know this. So sometimes it can just boil down to, okay, well, who's that mouthpiece who's the one that's representing. So I'm very optimistic as far as the future goes, not just for Mustafa Ali as essentially a solo act, but I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with the rest of the former members of Retribution, whether it be okay, go on back to NXT, or all right, let's shake up the roster a little bit and split them up. Have some of these guys be on Raw and SmackDown. We'll wait and see on that. Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler taking on Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair. Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler retaining their WWE Women's Tag Team titles. Good. This was the one match, if you guys remember from Saturday's Call That Match edition, this was the one match that I was very, very concerned about, because my whole mentality was Belair, Banks, they don't need the tag titles. They don't. It's the boss essentially taking on I gotta make sure I preface this. I gotta make sure I say, rapper Trina, what she's the baddest bitch. All right, so we got the boss taking on the baddest bitch, the BEST of the WWE. Okay, simple as it is right there. Doesn't get any better than that. Build around that. I'm happy that Belair, Banks did not become tag champions. Remember what I said to you guys, how much of a factor was Reginald going to play in this one? Was he going to be kind of scorned that Sasha Banks kicked him to the curb? Or now that he's essentially found a new home with Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler there, is he maybe going to put himself in a position where he's truly proving his value and his undenying loyalty to Nia and Baszler, which is essentially what he did. The way I was picturing the match, how it was going to play out and everything, the miscommunication between Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair and everything, it went exactly the way I thought it was going to go down. Probably the one thing that I thought was rather silly, totally not needed. Let me see if I got this straight. Let's pick up with the closing moments of this matchup, because I want to make sure we set this up properly for you guys, because the way everything led up to the post match was rather stupid as far as I was concerned. All right, so final moments of the matchup. Belair gets to tag in. She goes to the top rope after Banks drops Shayna Baszler. Belair connects with a nice 450 splash on Baszler, but then Reginald comes in there with the distraction. Banks leaps off the apron. Reginald leaps to the apron. He don't want none of Sasha Banks, all right? Belair knocks Reginald off the apron, and then Baszler just capitalizes off of that distraction with the Karafuda clutch to Belair. She gets that in from behind. She applies it. She then manages to get free. Sasha Banks is coming in off a hot tag. They do a little bit of double teaming on Shayna Baszler. Looking pretty good here. Looking pretty promising if you're like, okay, Baszler, Banks, they just might be able to pull this off. Okay, cool. Banks connects with a submission hold on Baszler, but Jax gets in the ring in time, breaks it up. Belair and Jax, they're continuing to go at it and everything. Another submission is applied in there somewhere, gets broken up. You got Banks and Belair. They're now arguing. Banks pretty much calls her a rookie, pushes her out the way. Baszler takes advantage, rolls up Banks from behind, gets the pin and the retain, while Jax is just briefly holding on to the leg of Belair from outside the ring, as Nia Jax is pretty much on the floor. She's on the surface, but she's grabbing onto Homegirl's leg and everything. So you got post-match, you got Shayna and you got Nia. They're celebrating and everything. You got Banks and Belair. They're looking at each other and they're having a little mouth off. They're going back and forth and everything. Banks says to Belair once again, no, you don't understand. You're acting like you know everything. you're the rookie. And she just slaps the shit out of Belair. I mean, just slaps the shit out of her after calling her a rookie. And she just quietly, just nonchalantly, just ever so gracefully, casually, takes her time getting out the ring after she bitch slaps the hell out of Belair. And you've got Belair just standing there. You know, I apologize for those of you that's going to be listening to the audio version of this, but you really need to be checking out the live webcast, but yeah, so you can see what I'm literally doing. But you got Belair after she gets slapped. She's like, I mean, she's making these faces. And then she goes, okay, yeah. She's looking at Sasha Banks, and all she has the courage to do is look at the WrestleMania sign and point to it. Are you fucking kidding me? Who wrote that shit? Are you fucking kidding me? Nah, man. Nah, you fucking get slapped like that. You charging after a motherfucker. Y'all are just gonna be brawling and shit. You gotta get the officials out there. You gotta do the nice pull apart and everything. And then you gotta have Belair say, yeah, it's okay if you wanna bleep her out and everything, but you need to have Belair say, that's alright, bitch, I got you at WrestleMania. Your ass is mine. You're gonna find out who the EST is, cause boss, you ain't. Yeah, that's how you should have done it, just to have her standing there after she gets bitch slapped. Points at the fucking WrestleMania sign. Seriously, that was the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life, yo. Stupidest fucking thing I've seen in my life. Hey, you guys doing good? You guys enjoying the post show so far? If you are, please do me a huge favor. Would mean a lot. You know what time it is. I love this. All you gotta do, if you're new, welcome. Make sure, if you haven't done so already. I know you guys have saw that little, hey, where'd the Fastlane logo go? Yeah, my bad, guys. Now, you guys been enjoying the show so far. You know what to do. Make sure you hit the like, click on that subscribe, hit that bell notification so you know when the new content drops for you guys. Yeah? All right, let's get into another match here. Big E taking on Apollo Crews. Singles match for the Intercontinental Championship. By the way, do you guys need me to turn on more light? I'm messing around with a new light source. I'm not. This is what. Let me show you guys real quick here, and I'm not being long-winded, so just indulge me for quick couple of seconds. But I've pretty much been using this on top of my ceiling light and my two lights that I got off on the side here. So my side light I actually have off while I got the other one still on. I don't have my ceiling light on. And I got a new little desk light that I'm literally looking at right now. Is it too dark for you guys? Leave a comment. Let me know. Hopefully it's enough light. You guys are good, but if you rather I'd go back to the usual lighting setup, I could definitely hook you guys up with that. So Big E taking on Apollo Crews, Intercontinental Championship. Big E going over, retaining the IC title. I love this matchup. I did. I'm really getting behind the new Apollo Crews, man. I'm loving it with the accent and all that. I'm loving it. It's been one of my few highlights when checking out SmackDown. One of my favorite few highlights. I love what's been happening with him. This great development into this Nigerian prince or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's got like a Shaka Zulu roots. I love it. I'm fucking loving it, man. Fucking Zulu Nation Warrior. I mean, I'm loving all of it, man. It's fucking badass. I love the trash talking that was going on in this matchup too, by the way. I just love hearing, and it was mainly from Big E. I mean, when he was owning Apollo's ass early on in the match, I just loved hearing, this is what you wanted, right? This is what you wanted. You've been talking about this all this time. This is what you wanted. Now you got it. What's up? You can't handle this now, huh? Huh? This is what you wanted. All that trash talking. Here we are now. Now what's up? I mean, I love hearing Big E just talking all that trash. I mean, Big E just, what he was talking trash, it reminded me so much about how it was for me back in the day as a much younger man in my 20s. And, you know, I'm trying to, you know, get the honey's phone numbers and everything. And you know, I know you fellas, some of you ladies out there too can relate. You know, you got that one honey that's talking that mad game, how she gonna tear you up in the bedroom and all that good shit. And then when it's finally time, you know, everything to go down, you know, she running away from it, or she running away from it, or some other shit. And it's like, wait a minute, boo. What's up? You said you could handle this, though. You said you could handle all this. What's up? Now you running away from the D? Like what's up? You know, you squirming and shit. You all finicky. You talking about taking a break. Nah, you said you had all that fucking stamina for your boy. What's going on here, man? So, love that. Fucking, I love that trash talking from Big E. I love it. You know, that's probably one of the cool things. I've said it off and on, but I can't stress it enough. That's probably one of the coolest things that, as a wrestling fan, a good thing that we got going on with no fans being in attendance at these wrestling events, studios, and all of that is these performers are able to get themselves over the way they truly are meant to go over. And just imagine if this pay-per-view we got tonight, and we're looking at this matchup that I'm talking about. Just imagine if you had a bunch of fans that were in attendance. You wouldn't be able to hear all of that. It would be so fucking drowned out. I mean, those of you that actually have been to WWE events, wrestling events in general, you know, especially when you have a packed house, you know how drowned out it can be. So, yeah, it just makes me really take a step back and appreciate the little things. And the little things in this case, all that beautiful trash talking going on in the ring. Loving it. Fucking loving it. Good fucking shit, man. Good fucking shit. Big E dominating, though, for like the first half of the match. And then the tides had turned in Apollo Crews' favor. It was a good match. I had a serious problem with the finish to the match. I got to be honest with you guys. And the finish to that match. Ooh. The finish to that match left something to not be desirable. Let me put it to you that way. So the way this finish came about, and look, I know there's probably going to be some people that's going to give referee Jessica Carr a hard time. I don't blame Jessica Carr whatsoever. I don't blame her at all for what went down in this sequence. But basically, there was a roll-up. And they tried to do what they did a couple of weeks ago. But this one went off very, very poorly. There was a roll-up attempt by Apollo. Jessica Carr hits the canvas. She counts 1. She's getting ready to go to 2. And then Big E just flips it. You know, like he reverses it. And now you got Jessica Carr counting 1, 2, 3. And then right when she's about to hit 4, she actually does count 4. Right when her hand is about to hit the canvas for the 4 count, Big E decides, okay, I'm going to just extend, you know, my back a little bit. I'm going to put some arch into it. And I'm going to do a nice little bridge pin attempt here. Now that I'm kind of able to get out of this roll up, I'm just going to put some bridge on it. And Carr counts 4. So grand total, she counts 5 times. 1 count went for Apollo. 4 went for Big E. I think as far as the finish goes, I think it was supposed to be Apollo 2. Big E rolls and Big E gets 3. if that makes sense. But this was very poorly executed. Shout out to I think it's Dick Van Klondike on Twitter. You know, I saw this in real time, and I'm going, wait a minute, what the fuck did I just see? Like, did I see that right? And I mean, as soon as I saw this, I'm like, wait a minute. And I'm already on Twitter. I'm going, okay, somebody's got to have the gift for that. And I believe it was Dick Van Klondike, like that was among the first that had got it. And you got to look at it again if you missed it, because it's like, wait, huh? I don't blame the ref. I don't blame Jessica Carr whatsoever. She's very good. I remember her time down in NXT and everything. She's been a pretty damn good referee so far since being on the main roster and everything. So I don't hold her at fault for that little miscue whatsoever. You know, it's kind of hard. It's really hard. I would imagine as a referee, especially if you kind of know, oh man, we kind of fucked this up right here. You know, what do you do? What do you do? You know, if you're a referee in the WWE, essentially how much leeway are you given? Are you given enough rope so that, hey, if you're kind of noticing a little bit of a sloppy finish there, you know, just call an audible and, you know, you use your own best judgment. You know, what are you supposed to do right there? So, yeah, that was just because, I mean, you could look at that and you could say, nah, you know what kind of should have happened there was, you know, there should have been a maybe a break in there, or maybe Jessica should have really been paying close attention to. It's a learning experience for everybody when it's all said and done. It's a learning experience for everybody. As far as I'm concerned, you know, you can kind of make the argument that Big E did the reversal too soon. You could make that argument because, again, when you look at it, Apollo only gets a 1 count, and then boom, Big E reverses it. So you could make the argument that, no, you know what? Jessica's actually off the hook. It's Big E that was off on his timing. I mean, but just that one little sequence, it's amazing how just that one little sequence can kind of funk up the overall match, because it was a really good matchup. Very short, too. I love the fact that post-match, and shout out to Corey Graves and them, because they did a good job trying to clean up what happened, because they realized, oh shit, it's a fuck-up. You know, and you got Cole and Graves saying, okay, so what happened just there? Or do we even know who won? And immediately you see Apollo Crews, he's beating the crap out of Big E. And you got Graves saying, well, based on the body language from Apollo Crews, Cole, you know, it's safe to say that Big E is probably one to pick up the dub. You know, we got to see the replay, but it kind of comes off as if Big E was the winner there, way he's acting. And then sure enough, they had got word that, yeah, it's official. Big E did win. And just to see Apollo Crews continue to go belligerent on Big E, you know, I'm not finished with you. We are not done here yet. We're not finished. You know, just continuing to lay his ass out. I loved it. I loved it. So it looks like these two guys are going to be continuing on 20 days, going on 19 days into WrestleMania. Yeah, Big E, Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm okay with that. I'm actually okay with that. Apollo Crews connecting with his own little modified version of the angle slam on Big E multiple times and everything. It's just leaving him just all laid out, ass laid out. Loved it. I ate that up. I love this feud that's going on with both of these men right now. One of my favorite highlights, man. Haven't been able to really sit down and watch SmackDown like that. I'm probably about 2 episodes behind right now. But when I have been able to sit down and watch SmackDown easily, besides Unhinged Roman Reigns, Big E, Apollo Crews, love what's been going on with them. The Cesaro element and Seth Rollins, I've been finding that very interesting as well. And I got my answer to what was going on there with Nakamura. So, by the way, production value, I got to give WWE a lot of credit, because when they went into, for example, the rivalry between Big E, Apollo Crews, the rivalry between Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, or Roman, Daniel Bryan, Edge, when they went into the video packages for these respective matches tonight, I mean, great top-notch quality, especially stringing together. Even the Randy Orton, Alexa Bliss, just stringing together all the story arcs and, making it a nice little, prelude and setting up the match you were about to see. They did a really good job tonight. It kind of felt like they kind of went a little bit above and beyond tonight. At least that's the vibe I kind of felt, but teach its own. Now, if you had watched the pre-show, you learned that while he was training, Shane McMahon sprained his leg. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo. And as a result of that, the match against Braun Strowman is off. So, during the pay-per-view, we see Shane McMahon. He's walking around on some crutches. He runs into Elias, and I keep wanting to say Will Riker. I know his name's not Will Riker, though. Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm just going to start calling him Riker. That way, because every time I go with Will Riker, I just got that one image in my head of Will Riker just cheesing his ass off like he's about to get some. Anyway, Riker, Elias, they run into Shane. Elias has this really cool idea that he wants to run by Shane. Shane's not really trying to hear it, but Elias insists. And Shane finally, okay, tell you what, walk with me for a little bit. Tell me what's going on here, because I think I might be able to help you, but I think you might have to do a little something for me. So let's see. So that pretty much had set up, eventually, all three of those guys in the middle of the ring. Elias is strumming, playing his guitar. He's getting ready to play a song. Shane tells him, hey, yeah, I know you're not really big on people interrupting you and everything, but I just got to say this. It's very important. Yeah, you got a match. So it's right now. And by the way, that match, well, you're covering for me. So you're going to be taking on Braun Strowman. Good luck. And Shane McMahon just fucking rolls out of there. So Elias taking on Braun Strowman. That was your next matchup. That one was about maybe 3 minutes and change, give or take. All the matches that happened, even the pre-show match, all of them under 10 minutes. Believe it or not, all of them under 10 minutes. You hear that, you go, damn. And the pay-per-view went like 2 hours, 45 minutes, Lee? Yeah! That's that WWE logic for you, man, when it comes to time management. But anyway, this was pretty much a short little squash match. Nothing really you can sink your teeth into. If you were even looking for, okay, maybe Shane McMahon is gonna fake the injury. It's another case of he's smart, Braun's stupid. Maybe he's gonna pull some type of shenanigans at ringside, and somehow Elias is actually the one that gets the dub because he gets an assist from Shane and Riker. It didn't even play out that way. There was no Shane McMahon at ringside for this whatsoever. So yeah, just now you can't help but kind of wonder, okay, so is this still on between Braun and Shane, or at this point was it a case where all the negative social media buzz stuff that's been said in forums, websites, did it eventually catch the ears of those in WWE, and is it a case of, okay, well, you know what? We'll just let this be. We'll go in a different direction. Look, there's still time. There's still time if WWE wants to try to redeem themselves. Look, I don't know where things are right now with a Big E. Not Big E, with Keith Lee is what I was trying to say. Amazing how I get the E's mixed up. I don't know where they are right now with Keith Lee or with Aleister Black. But I mean, I think majority of fans would actually be okay with those guys maybe facing Braun at Mania as opposed to Shane and Braun. Hopefully we're done with that, but crazy, stranger things have happened, so we'll have to wait and see how things play out beginning on Monday's Raw here. Seth Rollins taking on Shinsuke Nakamura. Those guys went about 13 minutes. Told you guys Saturday night, as far as all the matches go, that for me was going to be the That was going to be the sleeper hit match of the night. I told you all that would be the match that will probably surprise, most people as far as the overall quality, overall execution that both men bring to the table. I told you guys I feel Rollins and Nakamura would rise to the occasion in this bout. And they did. They did. This was truly a pay-per-view quality type of matchup. I got to give both men a lot of props. A lot of fucking props. I probably got too much Cobra Kai on the fucking brain, man. But, like, there's a part of me that would love to see somewhere down the line. I would love to see Michael Jai White and maybe Shinsuke Nakamura on a future season of Cobra Kai. I just think they would be pretty cool as some antagonists, man. Seriously, I think they'd be pretty badass. But nah, Rollins and Nakamura, they did good, man. They did good. I'm very proud of these boys. Let's pick it up. Final moments of this matchup. Nakamura was charging at Seth Rollins, who was in one corner but got blocked. Nakamura ended up hitting a pretty ass sliding German suplex from under the bottom rope. He comes back in, waits for the Kinshasa, but Rollins manages to block it while delivering his trademark buckle bomb. And I'm looking at that buckle bomb and I was kind of grinding my teeth just a little tiny bit. But then just seeing how Nakamura landed on that top turnbuckle backwise, back to the turnbuckle, I was like, oh, yeah, he's good. He's more than good. Rollins did a really, really damn good job protecting Nakamura there. So that definitely want to give him props for that buckle bomb. I still cringe. I don't really think it's needed personally, but, it is what it is. But he does the buckle bomb and then he follows it up with a Falcon Arrow. That only gets him a near fall. Rollins, at this point, pretty pissed off. Tries to go for the stomp. Nakamura counters it. Connects with a Michinoku driver. That gets him a near fall. Nakamura then comes in with a reverse exploder. And does a little kip up afterwards. Once again, tries to go for the Kinshasa. But Rollins rolls him up. Comes right back. Couple of strikes. Nakamura avoids the stomp, but Rollins comes right back. Nice little pretty ass counter that Rollins did, because Rollins, while he was looking for the stomp and Nakamura, he counters it. Rollins catches himself in not really in midair, but like he catches himself as he bounced off the ropes, and one leg is locked on Nakamura's leg, and Rollins just takes his other leg and does this pretty ass back kick to the head of Nakamura, and you're going, shit. And then Rollins follows it up with the stomp. Finally, he connects with it, gets the 1, 2, 3. Rollins looked pretty damn good in this one. Both men did. I was close there, man. I was rooting for Nakamura there, man. I was really rooting for Nakamura. I was hoping he was going to be able to get it there, but so close, no cigar. No holds barred match. Sheamus taking on Drew McIntyre. Again, told you guys on Call That Match. I said, look, what these two men been doing these past couple of weeks on WWE programming, it's been fantastic. It's been totally fantastic. This is the one where I felt both men were really going to rise to the occasion. I told you guys that this match is going to be the one where fans that, oh man, not Sheamus, oh man, not Drew. This was going to be the one time on one night where most fans would basically go, oh no, you know what? At the end of the match, that is, you know what? These guys did pretty damn good. They actually far exceeded the expectations I had for them. They outperformed. This was great. This was it had a nice old school kind of feel to it. What Sheamus and Drew did. Nice fucking old school feel. I loved watching these two just tear the living shit out of each other. I loved it. Doing something that was totally rare, where they're brawling in between the TV screens, and Sheamus gets sent through one row, and you got the electricity and smoke flying all over the place. Loved it. Visually, that was just good shit right there. Watching them brawl all around the arena, loved all of that. All of that was good shit. Seeing Drew McIntyre come out there with the Braveheart paint, so to speak, that was pretty badass. I don't know why, but just I was reminded of the Hot Rod, Roddy Piper, when I saw Drew McIntyre come out doing his whole entrance and everything. And then I just couldn't help but take a step back and say, man, could you imagine how interesting it would have been if Piper were still around? And because Sheamus, McIntyre, it just kind of felt like, you always like, there's something missing there. And they finally reached the pinnacle tonight. But just along the way, it's like, man, can you just take a step back and imagine if Hot Rod was in there? If maybe he was like a moderator or something, or you did something where the three of them, they're at a pub and Piper's kind of like the moderator, setting it up between the two as all three of them are drinking pints and whatever. Like, I don't know, man. I think he could have fit in there kind of good. I think that would have been a nice little interesting thing. But nah, man, it was badass what these boys had did tonight. My hat's off to them. They far exceeded my expectations. That's for damn sure. I was expecting slightly above average kind of match. That's not what had happened. I mean, they were slugging it out. Loved it. I mean, Drew won cleanly too. I mean, that puts a definitive exclamation point on this feud, I would like to believe. You had a piece of, what was it, the announcer's table? Because I think at one point somebody went through the announcer's table, but I remember there was a piece of the announcer's table that was in the ring. You knew at some point that was going to come into play too, and sure enough, it pretty much did. As Sheamus, Drew, they're fighting for position to put their opponent, head first if they can to that freaking piece of the announce table in order to pick up the dub. Drew getting the best of that outcome, connecting with a Future Shock DDT, and then following it up with that trademark Claymore kick, picking up the dub. Good shit. Good fucking shit right there. Got a tight-ass video package for Randy Orton taking on Alexa Bliss. That had set up our Randy Orton versus Alexa Bliss match. You know what? I love the mind games that went into this. I paid very close attention to this one. So Randy Orton comes out first. He's hitting his little poses and everything. He's ready. He looks as though he's ready to kick somebody's damn head off. And then he starts puking up that black stuff like he did from a couple of weeks ago. He goes outside the ring. He's begging for somebody to give him a towel. He finally gets one. He's wiping all that crap off his lips. He's demanding for Alexa Bliss to come out. Alexa finally comes out. You hear her come out to the Firefly Funhouse theme. However, it was a remixed. I mean, the way they were playing around with the audio, it was badass. It was, we're really glad that if you're feeling lonely, it was badass how they did that. Because at first, when you're hearing it, you're going, "Is something wrong with my ears? What the fuck is going on?" But then, like, the longer you're watching Bliss just parade around the ring and everything, you go, "Oh, no, this is actual." That was badass. That was fucking badass. I love that. I love that whole misconstrued, that was a nice little arrangement that they did there. Finally, match starts. Alexa Bliss, cute as a button, just smiling on that Randy Orton. I loved it. Randy Orton tried charging after Alexa Bliss, and he's damn near met with a couple of flaming fireballs. I don't know how he managed to dodge that. Tries charging after Alexa Bliss again. This time he meets a steel post in the corner. Alexa Bliss goes outside the ring and she's just parading around, laughing, just having a grand old big old ball. I'm loving it. I love the way she's been selling this, man. I'm telling you, she's been selling this really, really fucking good, man. Randy Orton, he's eventually shaking the pain off from his shoulder there, and he's just casually walking after Alexa Bliss. Bliss finally comes around on one side, and she looks up at the ceiling, and Randy Orton looks up, and he's looking back at her, and he's continuing to come at her ever so slowly. And then you have this big ass beaming light structure that just falls out of nowhere and comes just a hair inch close to just cracking Randy Orton over the head. And she's just laughing her ass off. Randy Orton's going, "Are you trying to fucking kill me?" And I believe Bliss said something along the lines of, "Ha ha ha ha, not yet," or something along those lines. I'm just looking at this. I'm going, this is good. This is some good shit. I like the whole little theatrics. Like I had said to you guys on social media, man, like I said to you guys in watching this particular match, I said, just throw everything out the window. Just sit back, relax your mind, let your conscience be free. Enjoy this for what it's worth. Just get lost in the moment here, right? That's the only way you can really appreciate something like this. You just gotta go outside the box here. I would imagine other people there, look, has it been a kind of like a long little drawn out kind of, it has to a certain degree, but you know what? I'll give credit where credit is due, man. Alexa Bliss, she's been the real MVP for this fucking feud, honestly. And she really doesn't get enough credit, I personally feel. She's really been doing a good job carrying this over for the amount of, a couple of months now that this pretty much has been going on and everything. So, wasn't for her, I don't know, man. I don't think it would have the same kind of curiosity to it. You feel me? Anyway, so Alexa Bliss, she goes over to one side of the ring. Randy's on the opposite. She gets in the ring first, encourages Randy to come on in the ring. She's pretty much waiting for him. She's riding in between the ropes like it's a swing. That was just funny. I love that. So finally, Randy gets in the ring. And if I'm not mistaken, Bliss had another set of fireballs there. And Randy Orton just barely fucking misses it. I mean, barely. He'd have swore he'd have fucking got an eyebrow burned off there. Looks as though, okay, how many more theatrical antics is Bliss going to be able to pull? What's next? We haven't seen the rabbit out of the hat yet, or under the dress, or, what she got now? All of a sudden, you just see this demonic fucking hand come from the ring, and it's grabbing on Randy Orton's ankle. Randy Orton manages to get away in time, and he's looking on, scared shitless, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And there, in its finest moment, that's when we see it. That's when we freaking see it. That is when we fucking see it, which is the return of the Fiend, Bray fucking Wyatt. That is when we fucking see it. Bray Wyatt, I love the new visual that's going on with Bray Wyatt. It looked pretty fucking badass, I would say. I mean, this guy looks like, literally, the way he looks now, he looks like he was burned severely. He's obviously missing some fucking hair and some other shit. I loved it. You know what it reminded me of? I know some people were kind of having a little bit of a Debbie Downer when they kind of saw this and everything. But you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of one of my all-time favorite movies. And I know, there's been a remake and all that, but I actually prefer the original, and that is Pet Cemetery. I'm talking about the one, what was it? The one from 1989, the flick that came out from 1989, that starred my man Dale Mitkiff. He did a good ass Elvis Presley too on a Lifetime little movie miniseries on the King. But I like that Pet Cemetery the best. It reminded me so much of that from the standpoint of at the very end. Remember Del Mitkiff's character? He's trying to do everything possible to bring his wife back from the dead and everything, and you pretty much had saw how that panned out. It was almost kind of like one of those type of vibes. I mean, you definitely had that horror movie vibe. You killed the monster, so you think you did, and yet the monster continues to come back over and over and over and over and over and over again. I loved it. But yeah, Fiend Bray Wyatt just pretty much shocking the shit out of Randy Orton with his return. And so much so was Randy petrified, pretty much coming in there, connecting with the Sister Abigail, lays out Orton. Bliss just gingerly gets on top. As some of you guys had said, she rode the Viper. Zing, wham, pow. You guys and your zingers. Anyway, 1, 2, 3. I told you guys it was a little bit too close to call. I told you guys it was probably gonna go in one or two directions with that matchup. I said either Bliss was gonna win or maybe it was gonna be a no contest. I'm gonna remove the chat for a little bit, but I can still see what you guys are saying. But I can still see I still see the chat, but I want to remove it for a little bit. But that was pretty badass. 1, 2, 3. Interesting costume. I gotta say, it's an interesting costume. It leaves me, color me curious. Okay, he's back now, but what can we expect going forward? Can we expect the fun personality of Mr. Rogers, Bray Wyatt? Like, can we expect that, or is that gone? As well as Ramblin' Rabbit and then the other characters, is all of that gone? And now it's just, I'm very curious how we gonna go about with this new incarnation of the Fiend. Is this Fiend ever going to talk? And if he does talk, is he going to be talking a little bit distorted? What's going on here? Very, very curious. But the fact that we got these poltergeists, these mind games that's going on here, it's got a Lucha Underground vibe for it. And see, here's the thing. Here's where you have to have a unique taste for this kind of match and story arc. If you are a fan of Lucha Underground, then you can easily look at this and you can go, okay, hey, look, they're doing their best under these pandemic circumstances. They're trying to make the best of what's around. You can kind of kick back and you can appreciate it a little bit, but then there's going to be those that are going to, this is some out of the world, what the fuck bullshit that's going on. Da, da, da. To those that feel the latter, I just hope you're being consistent. That's my only request. I hope that you're being consistent. So when you got something of a higher power thingamajigga that's going on in AEW, Ring of Honor, NWA, name the promotion, I hope you guys that will be as critical as you are to what's been happening with the Fiend, Alexa Bliss and Wyatt. I hope you're as consistent in what the promotions are, in the US and outside are doing as well. Yeah, I don't think I have any more to add to that. I don't really think I do, but it's interesting. It's one of those. Like I said, Alexa Bliss has been the MVP. She's been the MVP of this whole thing, keeping it all together. And now we're 20 days away from WrestleMania. We're almost there at the finish line. And look, think about this for a second as well. You're still trying to who's the bad guy and who's the face here? That's the real question. Because this goes so far back. This goes as far back as when Bray Wyatt had first recruited Randy Orton. And remember the pain that Randy Orton inflicted on Bray Wyatt in storyline. You could almost make the argument in storyline that Randy Orton was the one responsible for breaking up the Wyatt family. You could almost make that argument. So, destroying Sister Abigail, making the Wyatt family essentially disband, right? Technically setting Bray Wyatt on the path of the whole split personality and, embracing the Fiend. And now you got Randy Orton setting Bray Wyatt on fire and all that. You could almost kind of make the argument that, damn, Randy Orton did some foul, heinous, jacked up shit against Bray Wyatt. So keeping that in mind, do you maybe root for the Fiend? Do you maybe root for the monster as the good guy to finally get his just due when it counts the most? It's a very interesting... You feel where I'm coming from? It's very interesting because before the Fiend got set on fire, he pretty much just loved doing his thing, playing with his puppets, messing around with Alexa Bliss, and playing the mind games and everything, and we kind of saw, right? So it's really weird. I'm looking for the next couple of weeks. I really need for there to be truly the definitive, who's the bad guy here? Who's the good guy? But just kind of going off of the history there, it kind of feels as though you can make an argument that neither guys are maybe good or bad, or you can make the argument that, well, no, based off what we saw of Randy Orton for these past several months, no, he's actually the bad guy. And you can make the argument that Fiend is actually the good guy. Very good arguments for a pro or con. I would have to say, for a pro or con argument, no matter how you want to look at it, there's enough there for that fan to say, well, no, I'm pro Fiend because, or no, I'm con. I'm against Fiend because there's enough there. I just wonder if WWE would be able to have enough common sense to play around with that. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, though. Weird, there was no Lashley on this card. I was anticipating there would maybe be some type of a cameo from the Fiend. Maybe there would be something there involving Heyman, some type of maybe a nod to Lesnar. I'm more curious to see now what's going to be happening with WWE as, again, 20 days away from WrestleMania. Remember, Brock Lesnar quietly moved back, his profile and all that, quietly moved back to the Raw roster section on the WWE.com site. So, kind of got to have that in the back of your mind there, wondering what's going on that road to WrestleMania. But other than that, let's see. So that pretty much was that match. Really nothing else we need to talk about. I mean, we talked about not the triple threat, but the Roman Reigns taking on Daniel Bryan. We talked about that match already to pretty much open up the show. As far as, revisiting one last time, I still feel that at this point, the direction that we need to be going in, I just kind of feel as though the next chapter for Daniel Bryan, again, he makes the case Nah, man, there was a lot of fuckery that was going on there. I could see him cashing the receipt in on Jey Uso. I could see him trying to cash in the receipt on Edge, punch in that ticket, one last shot, try to go to WrestleMania. It becomes a triple threat match. I can see that. Is a triple threat match needed? I don't personally think so. I don't. But just given how things are, it's like, let's say hypothetically speaking, let's say Daniel Bryan turns out he's not supposed to be in the WrestleMania main event. Okay, so what do you do with Daniel Bryan? What do you do with him? Gone is the idea I had posed of Big E, Apollo Crews. I personally think, I'm sorry, Big E taking on Daniel Bryan. Gone is that idea because Big E is locked up right now with Apollo, and that seems like that's gonna go all the way to Mania. So what do you do with Daniel Bryan? You know, the only feasible thing I see. Look out for this. Look out for this. If Daniel Bryan does not get to punch in a ticket at WrestleMania, make it become the three-way that I was talking about earlier, then I would say we got that Andre the Giant Battle Memorial, right? I would say look for Daniel Bryan to win that. Look for him to win that. That would be my go-to guy to win it all. Look for him to win the Andre the Giant Battle Memorial. But other than that, I'm not seeing anything else. Hey, let's get into some Patreon shoutouts. Patreon.com/RCWR Show. That's where you can check out bonus audio video content you're not going to be able to find anywhere else, beginning at just 5 smackaroos. Shout out to Anthony DeBlasi, Don Tony. Shout out to you, my friend. Shout out to Justin Rostock. Shout out to Gino Morgan. Shout out to J Davis. I just love saying it like that. Shout out to Michael Wolf. Shout out to Tony Bean Gaming, one of the very latest in all things Marvel Strike Force, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Marvel's Avengers by Square Enix for your tips, tricks, news, walkthroughs, and reviews. Check him out. He's on YouTube. He's got a Patreon page as well. Same handle, Tony Bean Gaming. Check him out. Shout out to my boy on YouTube, Wishful Walking Videos. Make sure you show him some love. Subscribe to his channel. Check him out. And, you know, getting back to Fastlane one more time, a meh pay-per-view overall. You know, looking at the card overall, I would say, you know, you got to, if you want to include the pre-show, you had 8 matches. Minus the pre-show, just, okay, actual card, you had 7 matches. Out of those 7 matches, based on what I saw of the actual card, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 good matches. 4 good matches out of 7. I mean, that's not really too shabby, right? I mean, the other ones, it wasn't like it was shit or anything like that. The fact that the Fiend came back, you know, we kind of anticipated that. The new look, color me curious. Scale of 1 to 10, 1 being shit, 10 being awesome sauce. I would give the pay-per-view a respected 6 out of 10. You know, for WWE's first major pay-per-view event on Peacock, you know, as far as did they deliver? No, they did not deliver. You know, I was really expecting them to go into this really all guns blazing, let there be some interesting twists and turns, pleasant surprises on this Fastlane 20 days before Mania. You didn't get that. It just felt like a typical episode of Raw. You just got the return of the Fiend. That's just honestly how it felt. So I definitely would give this pay-per-view a 6 out of 10. As always, I appreciate the efforts that all the men and women, you know, they make on this card and everything. But yeah, yeah, they really should have gone on ahead and they didn't deliver. They did not deliver on the surprises. They did not. You know, if you're trying to convince that person, you need to come on over to Peacock because, you know, we're doing this and you know, we're going to have this going on. You know, you want to have people, you know, this is new territory for people. You know, you essentially ask people, think about that for a second. Just think about that for a second. Not to be long-winded with this, but just think about that. You don't set up a proper migration for your current subscribers so that all their information, everything just pretty much carries over into Peacock and they can essentially use the same login credentials over on Peacock. No, you pretty much just go, yeah, so Peacock is going to be ending and you need to just sign up over here. Well, what if I already had got a network subscription? Or what if I already, oh, well, you know, you'll get credited back and, you know, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay. All right, so you're almost kind of literally, you know, starting from scratch and you're asking people to sign up for your service over here on this new streaming platform. And bad enough that you've already had a good vocal of wrestling fans over these past few years that the network has been in existence say, well, you know, I'm not really feeling the network, blah this, blah that, that's going on. This is going on. There's a lack of content in this area. Well, I only watch the pay-per-views. I'm pretty much good. Blah, 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 blah. It's all very valid points, you know, but blah, 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 yakety smackety, as far as I'm concerned. And you're asking them to come on over to a new platform. Okay, well, if I'm gonna ask a bunch of people to come on over to a new platform, I gotta make it worth their while. I gotta make it feel as though, look, nothing else matters right now. Yeah, that's great. NWA did their thing, and that was a $20 pay-per-view, and they got Power coming back. That's great. Yeah, that's okay that Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, they tore it up in a no lights out match and all. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy, right? But nah, you need to be over here this Sunday because shit, we got loads of surprises planned. It's going to be fun. It's going to be one of the strongest pay-per-views. And it's right before WrestleMania. Like, they didn't do that. So, 6 out of 10 for me. I tell you what, if it wasn't for the return of The Fiend, definitely a 5 out of 10. Definitely a 5 out of 10. Straight up. So that's how I'm looking at it. Let's see what you guys are saying in the polling results one more time here. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Let's load up the Twitter. And let's see what you guys are saying here one more time. All right. Twitter at the RCWR Show. You can cast your vote over there. You can also cast your vote over on the communities tab via YouTube. See what you guys are saying here. All right, interesting development here. All right, hang on. And I just want to go ahead and retweet that yet again. Give me a second here. Where's that poll? Where's that poll? There you go. Let's retweet that again. All right, here's where we stand right now as of 11:18 p.m. Sunday night, March 21st, 2021. 5.6% giving the pay-per-view a thumbs down. 11.1% staying in the middle. 16.7% watched the pay-per-view just for The Fiend. 66.7% giving the pay-per-view a thumbs up. To those of you that voted on Twitter, thank you kindly for voting. Appreciate that. Let's see what's going on with you guys via YouTube. What? Say what? Let's try that again. Okay. That's not loading up properly. I don't know why. Let's try that again. That was weird. That was really, really weird. I got a weird message there. Page wasn't loading up. All right, we got it now. Okay. Over on YouTube Communities tab, we got a tie, 17%. Thumbs up. Nope, correction. Thumbs down and staying in the middle. That's the tie. Thumbs down, staying in the middle. Meanwhile, damn, another tie. 33% of you said only watch for the Fiend. Not disappointed. While 33% of you gave the pay-per-view a thumbs up. So this is the case right here. If you haven't cast your vote yet and you just heard the results from YouTube and Twitter, if you got Twitter, then at this point I would say go with the poll that you feel best represents what you're leaning more towards. And we'll definitely revisit it on Monday's RCWR show, which, by the way, is going to be happening as soon as WWE Raw goes off the air. So tune in for that. That should be a fun show. By the way, in case you missed it, all this past week, I had put out a couple of videos. It was some unboxings and unveilings. I had reviewed some new gadget products, and you pretty much had got to see how it all came together as I reviewed Todd McFarlane's Spawn Kickstarter that he started up March, April-ish of last year. I finally had got a hold of my my Spawn collector's item, and I did an unboxing and review. So if you didn't check out any of those unboxing and unveilings that was released this week, check it out. The Spawn one was released earlier today, so check that out. You'll find that under the playlist for unboxings and unveilings. So check that out. Patreon content is going to be dropping as well. Finally managed to check out a couple episodes of WandaVision. I've been checking out the new... I haven't checked out the newest season of Cobra Kai, but I'm up to the second season right now. But I will be doing a review for the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League Patreon members. So make sure you be on the lookout for that. And hey, one more time, if you enjoyed yourself here and checking out the post show and everything, please do me a huge favor. It means so much. Make sure, if you haven't done so already, you can hit that like, you hit that subscribe, click that bell. Check them notifications when you hit that bell, because I don't want you guys missing out on the content. I can't believe how many of you guys I get that say on a regular basis, I didn't know you were live. I didn't know you dropped new content. And the first thing I say is, well, did you check your notifications? Because your notifications might be off. So you got to make sure you set up your notifications there. All right, so that is going to do it. Appreciate everybody that had tuned in live, checking out the post show. Please continue to sound off. Let me know your thoughts about the pay-per-view. I definitely want to hear from you guys. You have to definitely... Yeah, I'm seeing some new comments that's coming in, and it's like, that's a whole other topic for another show. And we're coming right back in less than 24 hours. So we can definitely do it then. But I'll definitely be back with you guys Monday night after Raw goes off the air. Get at me on throughout social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use keywords, the RCWR Show. Appreciate those of you that had tuned in live. Much love as always. For those of you that's going to be checking this out on demand and on the downloads, hey, much love, mad respect as always. Till next go round, wishing all y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you guys next go round.